Thank you, Mario, for presenting the deck. So let's kick it off then. So again, thank you, Todd, for having us today. That's super exciting to be with this group of people to talk about CDS and what we do and how we do it. So I'm Andréanne. I'm the head of product and delivery management at CDS. So what I do in my day-to-day is that I support and guide a community of product and delivery managers. I support them in their growth, and I evaluate their performance, and I look also at bringing standards and the way that they do their work. I've been at CDS for a little over than a year now, and I originally come from the private sector, where I've worked in companies such as Yellow Pages Canada and Rogers, and I've been practicing product management for more than a decade. So yeah, 12, 13 years now. Does make me feel old. So I'll pass it over to Mario.
Which makes me feel older, Andréanne. Bonjour tout le monde, Mario Garneau. I'm an Agile Delivery Manager, working with Andréanne at the Canadian Digital Service. I've been at CDS since the beginning of time, so it's already been 4 years. I've been 16 years working with the different departments, the federal government, mostly in IT. First, let me just tell you a bit about the agenda. We're just going to go through lots of slides. We're going to move quickly. We want to make sure that you get a good idea as to what is CDS first, how we're structured, where we're focusing our work right now, and a bit of the past work, and then we'll jump into the product management and delivery management realms. And we're happy to take any questions when you have them. And so I'll pass it over to Andréanne to start with what it is that we do.
Okay, merci, Mario. So CDS is an organization in the Treasury Board Secretariat. So we might refer to it as TBS along the presentation. So we do 2 things in a nutshell. We partner and we build. So I'll be covering the part around partnering, and then Mario will be covering the part around building. So on the next slide, we partner with other government departments to improve digital services for people in Canada. So our way of partnering has evolved over time. We used to build digital services with partner departments. We actually used to build capacity, so standing up teams and coaching them, and proceeding to end off at some point in time of the solution to the department. Then we've transitioned to a different way of partnering, which is centered around assessing where potential partners are and what kind of problem space that they want to explore. And then we tailor our way of partnering based on that assessment. So, which leads us in partnering in different ways, beyond the one that we adopted in the past, which was mainly centered around building digital solutions with partner departments. So passing it over to Mario to tell you what else we do.
Yes, so our second ways of working at CDS is we build service. We build services, we build solution, we help department deliver services. So we're trying to work a bit on the back end to enable work that can be scalable and used by every department, which we'll refer to later in the presentation as a platform. So Andréanne will be talking to you about our current partnership, and then we'll move back to our past partnership. So Andréanne.
Yes, so currently how we partner. Well, with who we partner, actually. We partner with Health Canada. So our partnerships teams are currently partnering with this department on improving and maintaining a COVID-19 exposure notification service that includes a mobile app, a healthcare portal, and also a national server. The mobile app is both available on iOS devices and Android devices. And we actually have 3 teams that work on this in addition to a support team. And this is the type of partnerships that is centered around building. So it is most likely one of our last of this kind. And it keeps, as I mentioned, it keeps many teams busy at the moment because we've got 3 teams, and then I think at the top of my mind that's like around like 30 to 40 people that are focused on limiting the spread of COVID-19 in the country by improving and maintaining this service. So the next partnership that we're currently working on is with Natural Resources Canada. So we've in fact just wrapped up a report on recommendations for a digital flood mapping service. So this is part of the new type of partnership that I've explained that we want to do, which moves away from building a digital solution. Then we're also partnering, should I say, with Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada. So we're performing the same exercise of assessing a problem space with them. In this case, it is refugee information needs. And then we're going to be providing recommendations on how to improve digital services relating to that problem space. So as I mentioned, this is our new way of partnering, and now Mario will let you tell you more. I'm sorry about what we've accomplished in the past when we were focusing more on building digital solutions.
So in our past partnership, which Andréanne has explained that we were working a bit differently than we are right now, we worked with the RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, on the report of cybercrime, which is still up and has now been handed over to RCMP in the last couple of months. We've worked with Employment and Social Development Canada on helping Canadians assess the CPP, the Canadian Pension Plan Disability Benefits. PSPC, Public Service Procurement Canada, on tenders opportunities for the public. We've worked with the Canadian Revenue Agency on helping Canadians with low-income file taxes. Veterans Affairs Canada finding benefits. So we worked on a little portal to help them help veterans find their benefits and get access to their what they're allowed to a bit easier. And also one of our first product was working on Access Household Energy Data, creating an API for Natural Resources Canada. Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, rescheduling a citizenship test, and our very first product was the Impact Canada Challenge platform for the Privy Council Office, which was launched 3.5 years ago almost. So, so our tools and resources, Andréanne's going to discuss a bit where we're at with on the platform side of things, and start with the little tools that we're building there. Andréanne?
Yes, so Emmanuel spoke at a higher level about what we do from a platform perspective. Now there's a tool that we've adapted or forked for those who are coming with the term from the UK government, and this tool is called Notify. So it allows public servants to send notifications in the form of either email or text messages to people who use government services or interact with the government. To date, Notify has sent more than 12 million messages, so that's something to celebrate. And then Mario will tell you more about the tool that he's currently working on with his team.
Yes, so I'm currently the delivery manager of the Forms team, which is we're in an alpha phase. We've run a discovery phase to identify if Forms tool could be useful for government. We know government has thousands and thousands of forms, so some are less accessible than others. So how can we help there? So we explored if we could find a simple and efficient way to create a tool that could help program administrators, communication advisors to create forms a bit easier, and also trying to make sure that we're still accessible and in both official languages. So we're currently running this tool in alpha. We currently have 4 forms that are up, and the idea is to basically we built an MVP, and we're just trying to to assess it against some program, some services. So yeah, it's on the way and it's going well. Also, we've we've worked on guides for interviewing and usability testing. It's a good segue. Later on, we'll be talking about how we're structured as team, but a lot of people ask the question, why do you have policy people on our team? This is a good example. So our policy people work really hard to find ways to compensate folks to test our tools and to help us improve them. So we've documented the ways of conducting research interviews and are now sharing it with other departments to help them do the same thing. So why do we partner with other departments? So in a nutshell, we want to improve how digital services are designed, developed, and delivered. We want mostly to help. So by working with partners, we're able to get them to use different tools, get them to use different methodologies, ways of working, so that they can better deliver services. We, at the same time, we're trying to build capacity across the government. So with each partnership and each services that are using our tools, we're trying to show them how we did it, ways that worked, ways that didn't work. We also share that. That's important. And then we provide advice. So currently our partnership model has changed a bit and is going towards providing advice on specific things that teams come for help. So yeah, this is how we're doing it. We're with everything that we do, we're feeding back our insights to Treasury Board so that Treasury Board can adapt their policy better to help departments deliver services. So that's really worth mentioning. Andréanne, you want to start with how we do this?
Of course. So how do we make this happen? So we'll be digging a little bit deeper into how we're actually set up to work and make partnerships and platform products happen. So on the next slide, we actually capture how we work. So it's in the setting of teams that we call multidisciplinary, which means that those teams comprise a range of different disciplines or expertise. So we will usually have product and delivery managers who will be leading and enabling the teams, then designers, developers, researchers, all working together with policy advisors and communicators as well. And this brings, in my opinion, a lot of diverse perspectives and contributions on teams, which make the work, again, in my opinion, incredibly solid and amazing. So on the next slide, we believe in shipping fast in an iterative manner so that we can maximize our opportunities for learning, which means that we test our ideas or assumptions on an ongoing basis through rapid prototyping and clear research questions that we seek to answer. Our teams work in the open using tools like GitHub, publishing their ways of working through different mediums, such as our blog or Twitter, and announcing no business analyst. That is a very good question. And by the way, that's a question that I had when I joined CDS. Sorry, I'm like trying to like process the next question. So I'll just like focus on the first question and go like to the second question. So the business analyst function, when you look at it in terms of responsibilities, it is kind of split with service designers and product managers at the moment. So they need to work very closely on to make sure that like the outcomes or the outputs that this function usually delivers is actually covered with their joint efforts or their work. So the second question, let me just open the conversation. And thank you so much for just like swinging your questions as we speak, because like this is meant to be a conversation and helping. So I'm very happy to see those like questions pop in the chat. So I'm not sure if this, by the way, I'm reading the second question around, but is this slide display working? I'm not sure if it's just me, but I don't see any slides. Can you see the slides now? Because I'm seeing them, but then like
I still don't see them. I just see your like audio being displayed.
Okay, so a bunch of people can see them.
Okay,
perhaps
then it's just me. I'll try troubleshooting on my end.
Yeah, perhaps you might join the call. That could perhaps solve.
You know, say Microsoft Teams always works and it's really useful and never has any problems, right?
Yes.
Well, we're recording.
Pick up on the irony here.
Okay, thank you. I'll see what I can do, and we'll try to join.
Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, so where was I? Okay, prototyping, research. Yeah, so I was talking about working in the open. Like we do use some tools, and then we have like our ways of working in the open, but like we still need to get better at it. So we're like working closely with our teams of communicators to really elevate this practice of working in the open based on our context, based on our challenges. So that's how we work. And then Marie will share with you a little bit more details on how those multidisciplinary teams work together.
Yeah, so we put people at the center of what we do. Basically, is core to everything we do. Whether it's when we try to influence changes to policy, so talking to Treasury Board, we will put like people like government employees at the center of those changes to make sure that it actually helps them. Whether it's when we make decisions, like when we make design decisions to be inclusive, how we draft requirements. We keep providing our insights to. Oops, sorry, I missed the slide. Okay. So like I mentioned before, like we always try to bring our insights to Treasury Board when it's applicable and try to help others there. And so that way we can clear path for them, a lot of people across government to do similar things. So Andréanne mentioned, like we use blogs, we use other mediums to talk about our work, and this is for people to actually point at us and say, if someone at Treasury Board is able to do it, then everyone should be able to do it. So and start the way there. So Andréanne, passing it up to you for the product and delivery discussion.
Oui, merci. So how we work in more details in terms of the product and delivery management practices. So we're going to be covering this a little bit. I'll be covering the product side. Marie will be covering the delivery side. So what we will explore is the what, the why, and the how. So beginning with product management. So let's start with the what. So if you can move to the what slide for product management, Mario, that would be appreciated. So the next slide.
Oops, there we go.
No problem. Okay, merci beaucoup. So so as I said, let's start with the what. And what is product management? And I always I have this tendency to always cover the basics or definitions, because there's part of me who believes that often misalignment or misunderstanding of terms is actually at the root cause of many confusion or conflicts at any level of an organization. So so that's a definition that that I've borrowed from Atlassian, which is a company that I have a sweet spot for. So I'll give you a moment to read through it. Okay, so building upon, yeah, that's a nice definition. 100%. So if you move on to the next slide, I'd like to focus with you on two parts that really resonate with me with that definition. I'll tell you why. So there's like the part that captures like the guiding dimension of the function or the practice, if I can say, which means that product managers are expected to be leading their teams and what they need to work on, having consulted with their team members in order to listen to their perspectives, understand their perspectives, process their perspective as well, and all this input coming from their teams in order to come up with a strategic plan that will help guide their teams in what they need to deliver. So the second important piece is around focusing on the product and its customers. And the efforts of a product manager, will be used as if all the attention or focus is not directed towards the users of the products that they managed. So together with the team, product managers are delivering value to people. And PMs, and by that I mean, like, I should have said that I'd be using that acronym, so not the Prime Minister, of course, but product managers need to know the needs and the context of those people and put them front and center in everything they do and in every decision that they make. So when thinking of product management visually, like from like a visual standpoint, I really like to use this this visual. I don't know if you've seen in the past like the visual that shows like 3 circles with like business development and design, and then at the center you've got like, or at the intersection you've got product. Well, I do prefer like this one because it captures all the nuances that are beyond design or UX and development and business. Those nuances are so critical to the role of product manager because the role itself will be highly dependent on the environment in which it is practiced, as well as the culture of the organization in which it is practiced as well. And also, it's going to be varying based on the type of product that product managers manage. So on the why piece. So this is like some very like basic like check tables that I like to use when I explain the why of product management. And I like this comparison because like I feel that like it's very like it's easier to grasp like the value when you compare it to something that it shouldn't be. So product management is not project management, and it does not focus on outputs. It focuses on outcomes rather. So it also focuses on defining a vision for a product, which is the why, and then looking at outcomes aligning with that vision. Then focusing on the what means that you set a clear direction for your teams so that those defined outcomes can be met. And by meeting those outcomes, then you in turn ensure that your product will be performing. So I also like the focus on adaptability, because as I mentioned before, like the practice needs to be adaptable or flexible to the type of organization in which it is practiced, the culture of that organization, the context also of that organization, and the nature of the product. So this is all like shaping with all those nuances that the kind of product management that needs to be practiced. So it does not like specializes in something specific that will be fixed, even like traveling from like one org to the other, right? It needs to adapt in order to be to be valuable to an organization. And speaking around value, by practicing product management, organizations maximize their chances of achieving a set of outcomes on an ongoing basis. So that's, I think, super important to grasp also when we talk about product management. So how do we do product management at CDS? Given that I think it's the third time that I'm saying it is highly dependent on the organization, the type of product, the culture, blah blah blah. So how do we do it at CDS? Well, we've created a set of technical competencies that help product managers understand clearly and concretely what the expectations are for them based on their level of seniority on how to perform the practice of product management. And then also we have a community. We have a community of practice that is there to help everybody get actually support. And also they're the community members are there if people need to reach out and then get second opinion or just bounce off ideas. So that's clearly something that our product managers really appreciate at CDS, because it's another way for them to elevate their practice, given that they're going to be expanding their horizons by connecting with their peers and then getting their perspective or their approaches challenged. So then we also have a set of values, and then we expect product managers as leader of their teams to be shaping their practice based on that set of values, which are the following. So we put people at the heart of services. We deliver measurable outcomes. We do the hard work to make things easier. We build for learning and iterating. We take care of each other, and we work in the open to help clear a path. And on this note, I'll pass it over to Mario to discuss about delivery management.
Yes, so let's start the same way. Let's start with a little reading. I'll read just in case someone is not seeing the slides, but delivery management is about enabling teams to deliver value by creating the right environment for teams to succeed, helping teams to self-organize, and creating a culture of learning and transparency. So interestingly enough, we're not talking about methodologies, practices, frameworks. We're talking about those terms. So enabling, helping, self-organized. We're just trying to make sure that while the product manager is steering in some direction, is actually steering the boat, we actually help others to know when to row and where to go. So we're kind of in the trenches with the team and helping out just helping out the team wherever they need and help the team deliver. Just like product management, lots of flexibility, adaptability is very important for the role. You have to adapt ways of working to the team. Some team member comprises of different skills, different seniority level. Those are all things you have to be aware. And also making sure that the team isn't at the top of their game. So whatever they need to do to get there, that's our job. So these are all areas: agile and lean practices, delivery support, and team health and happiness. Those are all areas that delivery managers have to play in. It's about finding the right balance between the team and the focus on efficiency. Which leads us to why this is important. So ensure the team is focused, ensure the team has the tool, understands the processes in place to deliver what needs to be delivered in an optimal way, basically is kind of our motto. So how do we do delivery management? Very quickly, we said 30 minutes, it's 32, so I'll wrap up with this. So just like the product managers, we have our own competencies as well that we value in practice. Also, we provide guidance for other communities at CDS to ensure they understand the principle and understands why we use certain rituals, certain methodologies. Not everyone has played in that realms, depending on the community. So we just try to provide a bit of coaching there. We ensure that the team follow their own commitments that we set at the beginning of each phase of delivery, which is a little activity that we like to do with each team that we're working on. So basically, just like how we work at CDS, we iterate all the time. So this is our first try at it. We've been at it for a couple of months now. We're now 3 delivery managers working on different teams, and now we're looking to expand this. But first, we're actually looking to see how can we iterate our own role to make sure that that it brings more values to the team. So that's where we're at. And with that, a couple ways to get in contact with us. Our website has a lot of blogs, documentation, what we're working on, where we're at. There's also links to our GitHub account, which you have all our tools there. If you get questions, you know who to contact. You can follow us on Twitter or LinkedIn. And Andréanne, you want to wrap up?
Yeah, thank you, Mario, for covering delivery management, and then thank you so much for listening to us today. We're obviously passionate about what we do, so I hope that a little bit of passion get passed along, if I can say, with this presentation and those explanations. So if you have any questions or you want to discuss further, Mario and myself would be super happy to connect in the future. There's a couple of questions in the chat, Todd. I wonder, would you like us to go through them one by one? Is there something that you suggest in terms of how to go about the Q&A?
Yeah, I would just if you see a question you like, answer it. Yeah.
Good. Okay. So, Mario, there was one question I think that was super interesting coming from Marie-Claude when you were speaking around how do we involve corporate information management teams. So I'll let you go through it. And the reason why I'm directing that question to Mario is that since a year now, so I've joined CDS in March 2020, and then I didn't get enough opportunities in terms of partnerships to or enough partnership experience yet to answer that question, but Mario did. So I'll pass it over to him for that question.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Actually, Marie-Claude, I'll answer your question and hopefully answer a bit of other question that might resonate with that. So basically, I'll give you a really concrete example of how we're working right now on the farms team. We decided not to tackle everything at the same time. So basically, we've worked in a way that we can easily create forms for a department. So, but on the IM side, we're actually not keeping any data because the goal of that is let's figure that one out. Let's not just say oh yeah, no problem. We have a database. We can host the data. We knew there would be complication there. So now what we do is by integrating services in our tool, we're able to talk to the IM folks, security folks. Security usually comes first. We make they want to make sure that our tool is secure and is using proper methodologies there. But so basically, trying at the first and foremost get the service to use our tool. We're not keeping any data. Data goes through actually our other tool, which is Notify, and it just sends the data. Everything's encrypted, so Treasury Board does not keep any data. But before we want to do that, let's talk to the IM folks. Let's talk to the policy folks, privacy folks in the department, and see how we could do that. So compared to past project that I've seen happen in other departments that I was in, where we would just buy a full-fledged product, and in the end you're oh, but we can't use this feature and this feature and this feature. We're just okay, let's go one step at a time. So we do that with information management. Like I said, we are also doing that with other parts of the department. So this is the idea with everything we do. We build an MVP, which we can try and test other parts of the tool that would be used. So we're currently looking into I always say our summer project is making this protected B, so on the cloud. So we're currently looking at like what's needed to get there, and like if that's a blocker for the department, how can we help that? So I just hope this actually answers your question, Marc-Claude. Let me know.
All right, and we've got one hand up, Mark.
Yeah, thanks. Actually, this is a question directed to you, Mario, because I knew you came from more a technical role, but I'm curious about this role of what is it called? Delivery management. So are you still highly involved with the technical side of things, or is it more of like an oversight for actually getting product A shipped out to the end state?
Yeah, I think I would say like in some instances, especially on the team I'm in right now, it helps. It's definitely not a requirement, like definitely not. We have 2 other delivery managers that don't have a tech they have a product background, but not a highly technical background. So and they're doing a way better job than me. So but what I mean by that is that as a delivery manager, you're just trying to help whoever on your team is having blockers. It just happened that on my side, I have more capacity on the dev side. So if there's anything happening that side, I can jump on it faster. And maybe I don't have to actually find where we can get more help, So, but yeah, it's definitely not a requirement for sure.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right, maybe another question. What is the relationship between service design and product management?
OMG, it is like a topic that I think like it's funny that this question pops now, because we had the design community meet with the product and delivery management community recently to clarify this, because like that there is some overlap and both practices, but then there were some key differences that we've identified during that discussion that we had, and it was a nice workshop, right? Mario was part of it, and then we kind of like spoke candidly around like the overlap that we noticed when working in the setting of multidisciplinary team, and then on different problem space and different contexts. So service design, and then I don't want to speak too much on like service design, because like I
Oh, okay. Sorry, guys.
sorry, I get distracted with I guess somebody who unmuted or sorry. So service. Okay. Those stuff, like it always happens, right? Like it's that kind of like distractions. I wonder if like working like in an environment, like in a virtual environment, like if we will ever get used to, right? That weirdness of like, oh, I just been muted. I was being So going back to service design, I won't be speaking too much in regards of this, because it is not my expertise, but what I can say from like a product management perspective, what I've observed is that service designers will be much more product managers will be much more focused on like the organizational needs, the risks, also the vision, the strategy, and all this, like having like a holistic view of all this, whereas like service designers will be like having a holistic view of the service, but perhaps not like, how could I say, like factoring in like the vision or the strategy or like prioritization framework into their thinking. Whereas like those pieces of like prioritizations and then strategy is super important and critical in the function. Not saying that like strategy doesn't exist or prioritization doesn't exist in service design. It's just that it won't be as like front and center in their thinking process as it is for product manager who have to like think always holistically and from a vision perspective of in everything that they do. I don't know if that helps.
All right, that's awesome. Thank you. And it's a longer question. Oh, yeah. Hey, Harold, let's go with Michael J. So, any advice on how to integrate product management approach in the context of traditional enterprise level delivery, maintenance, and enterprise solutions?
So I see Mario smiling because I know that like he's like done like a little bit of that in the past. I've done it too, but like in a different. I'm about to say different context, but not as much different context. I've done it at Yellow Pages and at Rogers too. But like I'm curious to hear like Mario, do you want to jump in and then share like your Gov experience and perhaps I can complement with my private sector experience? What do you think?
Depends who on the call. I'm just looking at names to ensure that I don't. No, okay. I would say, yeah, I would say let's call this piloting. This is how we were able. I was able in the past to deliver anything in government by calling things pilots. I think, yeah, I think it's I think having a team at the central agency was a good call initially at CDS because we're trying to impact things at that level and actually learn from department and bringing it back, which is like I said in the presentation, we bring everything that is relevant back. And so I think as far as like implementing I'll touch a bit on implementing the discipline side of things. We are tackling it in different ways. Whether it's through like actually trying to get the job description approved by Treasury Board for every department to be able to use it. That's one side. But as far as like the full enterprise architecture reviews and all that, we're currently playing along. Like when we're working with departments, we know that they cannot just jump this ship and come to us and it's just gonna get like it's just gonna get delivered. Like we have to play along. One of the things that we get help from is we used to have a lot of security expertise that came in early on and being able to tackle certain problems. Also the flexibility around. People think that usually it's everything has to go through certain review boards or so we try and help there. But yeah, there's no real way to go around it. At the same time, playing along, also one of the things that we're tackling is actually giving the tools for department to be ready to, actually go through those steps a bit faster. So example is what I mentioned before on the protected B side, where we're running assessments on some of the cloud vendor and the tools that they provide to be able to at least have a baseline of like, you want to work towards protected B, start with this, and have the documentation that goes with it. Yeah, I don't have a better answer than that. Sorry.
The struggle is real sometimes. I know that Sarah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I'm sorry to interrupt. That I was wondering, like, if I can add what has worked on my end and integrating like product management in like larger org. If you get into the habit of prompting questions around what is the problem that we're trying to solve, is where like you're going to be, I think, starting to be advocating for product management by changing the mindset, right? Rather than like not allowing but accepting that people come to you with like fully fleshed out solutions and not like really like going back to the why and going back to like what are we trying to solve actually, instead of like let's build that because like this is going to be like fantastic, and that's what we need because of what XYZ. Let's like focus on what XYZ is and then depict that together. So like prompting questions around why and around problems, I think is like the very beginning of creating a product mindset in an organization. And then also you have to look at like who does it resonate with, right? Who is like the champion in your organization that you feel like will be helping you pave the way or change that mindset. So that's what worked on my end, and also doing like small experiments and getting people curious about like how did you make that work. Then like you explain the process, and again like you pitch like the why behind things. You pitch like how valuable it is to be focusing on the problem space and then exploring that as a team, and then like bringing different points of views. And also so yeah, I think that you gotta build like a narrative for it, and that you have to stick for it and find opportunities to deliver that narrative as autant de fois possible que tu peux. Yeah, if I can like throw a little bit of French in there, because of course I guess that you've picked it up, but I'm a francophone, so yeah, so that was my piece of advice there. And then, by the way, service design and product management, I had an afterthought, and then I just want to close the loop on that. I think that like the fundamental, there are two things so that I thought about. At times the practices won't be as valuable given the stage in which you are at developing the product. So the earlier on, I think that service designers will be way more like the how they can contribute will be more, to some extent, valuable. Like the word is strong, but more valuable in exploring the problem space and assessing it from like a service perspective than a product manager will be. And then a product manager, then like when it comes time to be like building an MVP, like Matthew referred to, and then prioritizing and then learning fast, then like that is going to be like more the product management practice that comes into play by leading those efforts, right? Because like the fundamental, and like at the core of the practice, there is leadership. And then I think that this pertains more to product management than service design. So yeah, that's been also my blah blah of service design versus product management, because I feel I could go on and on and on. So that was it. That's a small addition that I wanted to make.
Awesome, thank you. I'm wondering, Sarah, you had your hand up. Do you have a question?
Oh, thanks, Todd. Great to see you, Mario and Andréanne. I have two quick questions. One is, to what degree, when you guys say delivery manager, product manager, do you see these as exactly the same as Scrum Master, product owner, or is there certain distinctions that you might be able to describe? And the second question, for both of those roles in government, anything you can share on maybe like conversations with OCRO or anything on like, what is the kind of desire and interest to further define these roles in government?
Andréanne, you want to take the first one? I can take the second one.
Sorry, given that I have like the memory of a goldfish, I captured the second one. So Mario, if you can replay the first one for me, that
delivery versus Scrum Master, product owner versus PM.
Okay. Why Scrum? So delivery versus Scrum Master. How come we're sticking to Agile Delivery rather than Scrum Master? Is that a question, Sarah?
I was just wondering if you see any distinctions between, the established understanding of Scrum Master versus Delivery Manager and similar. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the nuance or the clarification. That's funny that you asked, because we got some advice from Public Digital around like because as Mario said, like we're always looking at iterating our practices and improving. And then we got Public Digital, which is a consulting agency, to look at our set of competencies for each of our disciplines at CDS, and then get us some recommendations on how to improve like those set of competencies. And then for the Agile Delivery Management practice, they recommended that we move away from prescribing a specific methodology. And by a specific methodology, I'm referring to Scrum here in this instance. It's because their take is that like Mario said, right? Like looking at like what's at the core of the function and making sure that it remains flexible, but still that you've got some like fundamentals there that you can build upon, but that you can like frame based on like on the context on or the challenges that you face, if I can say. So
so if I'm understanding, it's like if we say Scrum Master, it's tied to the Scrum framework, but if we say Delivery Manager, that allows flexibility for the team to be Kanban or Lean or
100%. That's our intent with this function at CDS, is like to make it flexible enough so that like let's say Mario or the two delivery managers that Mario manages will be having the flex to pick on like the methodology that they feel is fit for like or resonate with the context of the team that they're enabling and that they're leading together with the product manager. So yeah, to me it's like it's a blend of a bit of, and then please like chime in, Mario, if you disagree with that view, but it's a blend of like a bit of project management, a bit of Scrum Master, but like not the Scrum, it could be like the Kanban Master, the Scrum Master. So it's a blend of all this, but like focusing on the flexibility and the adaptability of the practice.
Yeah, I think, Sarah, the only thing I add to this is the story I tell people of when I joined CDS initially, when it was not even CDS, is actually coming and work next to you at the office, which I miss, Sarah. Actually, like Ryan Andrusoff, the person who kind of had the idea and created all this, sold it to me in a way that that it still resonates, and the delivery management is actually something that really resonates as well. Initially, like my past life was a team leader at SSC, Shared Services Canada, and I was doing everything. So as a team leader, you were product manager, delivery manager, Scrum Master, manager, client relationship, name it, right? You're one person, some folks working on product with you. So coming here was very appealing because initially when I joined, I was like, these are all policy people. What am I gonna do here? And they're like, oh no, they're gonna unblock everything for you. It's like, oh, nice. And then, oh, here's some product manager. Okay, yeah, nice. Okay, so they'll take care of this. Cool. The idea is that delivery manager does a bit more than we didn't want to be too prescribed, because initially that position was actually done by product management because we didn't have, and it was just too much. And we were like, how can we try and semi-split the roles? And it just didn't make sense at the beginning to just say like, yeah, Scrum Master. But like Andréanne said, afterwards we kind of got some advice from other parties on whether it's a name change, whether it's a role change, and so that's a bit of the story behind this from a year ago. And to your second question around OCRO, the Office of the Chief Human Resource Officer, we used to work really closely with OCHRO on some of the new position that we're trying to implement. We started with designers, researcher. We didn't have a position, didn't have a title in government. There was no positions like that initially. And we did the same thing. We started to do the same thing with product manager. The work stopped a while back for lots of reasons, but it seems like it's picking up back again. So we have folks on the team that are looking at sharing job descriptions, sharing even like preposition on some classifications and stuff like that. So it's ramping up. It's just it kind of stalled for a while. So
Thank you both.
Merci,
Alright.
Sarah.
So, hey, so much engagement, so many questions. This has been so much cool. This has been so much fun. I'm wondering, maybe you both give us a message to leave us with, and we'll wrap up.
Okay, I'll start. I want to answer all the questions on the chat, so how do I do that?
Same here, +1, yeah.
I can try and so I'll try to get a screenshot and make sure that I'll send it back to you, Todd. If you can send it back to the folks online, I want to answer all the questions because those are good questions. But yeah, any thoughts? Any final thoughts? Keep fighting, keep fighting the good fight, government people. And please, if you want to keep in touch with us, just use the different channels that we have. Contact us directly. That's no problem. And point at us if you feel like we're doing something right. Point at us and say TBS is doing it. We can do it.
The same here. Keep fighting the good fight, like Mario put it. Just be persistent and trying to change mindset. Like with what you have, with what you have around you. Just be creative and be persistent. Yeah, that would be my advice. Thank you so much, Todd, for the invitation, and really looking forward to answering those questions together with Mario. I hope this was useful to every one of you.
Yeah, this was awesome. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We look to you folks as leaders in this space in the government, and it's just so cool to see what other groups are doing. So thanks again, and
Thanks for the invite.
Get a Google Doc going on some of these questions. That should be fun.
Yes.
Right. Sounds good. Sounds like a plan. Thank you so much for suggesting.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Bon après-midi.